Hello, everyone. It's afternoon for me. It's morning for Max. I'm rapidly approaching closing time in the UK. Max is starting his day in Denver. This is the best bit of the job for me. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network, and we're 143,000 strong now, I think, across the world. But I don't get to meet everyone, and we're entirely member funded. And Max is one of those full members, the inner circle, for which many thanks, Max. Thank you for joining me today from Denver.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Before we have some fun, perhaps you'd like to introduce yourself to the gang, superpowers and passions, where you are, the work you do, that kind of thing. So it's all yours.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Max Haas. I'm a founding partner at a cloud-based law firm called Holon Law Partners. I have been an entertainment attorney my whole legal career. My reason for becoming an entertainment attorney is because I've been a musician since I was a kid, and I've always been passionate about music. And when I was sort of at that point in my life when I was trying to figure out what my career was going to look like, I wanted to do something that would allow me to work side by side with musicians and artists and other creators. And so that is still what I do to this day. I represent artists with copyright issues, contracts, trademarks, business formation, other things that they need to succeed and build a successful career in the arts and entertainment. So superpowers, I guess the legal side of things does definitely give me a sense of superpowers where, when artists have an issue and they need to contact a label or a studio or some other big player, sometimes they don't respond to artists on their own very well, or in a very professional or respectful way. And yet when the lawyer steps in, all of a sudden the whole conversation changes. So I've noticed that that's something of a superpower as well, that I like being able to sort of deploy on behalf of my clients. I'm also pretty passionate about education and teaching artists about the basic rights that they need to know to function and build successful careers. So I've been teaching workshops for just about 10 years now, for musicians, for artists, for filmmakers, for writers, on copyright basics, contracts that are applicable to their industries, things like that. And I continue to teach those workshops, and I'm always looking for new partners for those workshops as well.
Brilliant. Well, thank you on behalf of all of those who benefit from your advice, because it would be pretty scary place out there without it, I'm sure. That's great. And is it mainly US based?
Our firm is US based. Yes, we have 15 attorneys across 9 different states. Many of us are licensed in multiple jurisdictions. Some of us have experience working internationally in various different ways, especially in the realm of intellectual property, copyrights, and trademarks. But we do not currently have any attorneys who are physically located outside of the US currently.
But I imagine if a US based or a organization wanted to tour internationally, you'd be able to help with contracts for things like that.
Yes, we'd be able to help with contracts. We can also help international artists who are looking to work in the US. I have relationships with several immigration attorneys who are not at my firm, but we work with them pretty closely, who do O visas, which is the main way that international artists can get employment in the US. So I can definitely help with that. International companies and individuals who are looking to get trademark protection in the US are legally required to use a US-based attorney as well. So that's definitely something we can help with if people are looking to expand their brands into the United States.
Fantastic. Well, wherever this appears, there'll be links to you and the firm's website and your LinkedIn. So excellent. Thank you very much for that. Right, we're going to have some fun. I found this is a lovely way of pulling out anecdotes, laughter, surprises, and conversational detours. So
Sure.
I should point out to everyone that you've had no prep for this. So this is absolutely off the cuff. Excellent.
Doing it live.
Now I'm going to create a magical fantasy cultural year for you.
Okay.
And to do that, I need to place you somewhere to start. So I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite building?
My favorite building. Wow, that's a good question. There's probably more than one, but I really like 30 Rockefeller Place in New York City. The Art Deco architecture and artwork inside is really cool. It's very, as New York City office buildings go, that's definitely one of the more interesting ones.
Right, I'm going to share this with our viewers so that you can tell us a bit more about it. Hang on, there we go. 30 Rockefeller Place. Which is the best image?
Also known as 30 Rock. There's it's the headquarters of NBC, or at least their New York headquarters. Famous sitcom 30 Rock was there. There's a number of big law firms that have offices in that building, and I actually had the unique privilege to be able to work there the summer of 2014 when I was a law student. So I got to commute every day to 30 Rockefeller Center. There's the famous Rockefeller Plaza ice rink is set up there in the winter right in front.
Yeah.
There's cool sculptures both outside the building and inside the building. If you go down into the basement, you can go directly to the train. So it's one of those classic New York buildings that is not just a landmark in and of itself, but it's built into the infrastructure of the city. So it's kind of a cool experience.
And is that where Top of the Rock is?
Yep, Top of the Rock is at the very top there. Recently, I believe the record label and record store Rough Trade started a summer concert series out in front this past summer. I'm not sure if they did that last summer as well, but they have, DJs, live bands, once a month or every couple of weeks or something like that.
Fantastic.
Summer's over, but I know they were doing that a couple months ago.
Excellent. That's a great place to start. So that's where you are. It's not Brown Square. What's the square? No, I'll put you in that plaza. I want you to imagine there's a sidewalk cafe. It's sunny. You're in the area that normally becomes a skating rink in the winter. Mm-hmm. And you're right by the entrance to the 30 Rockefeller Plaza. And you're at a pavement cafe and enjoying the sunshine late afternoon. There's a book on the table next to you that you've just been browsing through. Now, that book can be your favorite book. It can be a book that's been with you all your life. It can be a book that changed your life, or it could be a recent discovery. What book would I find on the table next to you?
That's a good question. If it's one of my favorite books and something that sort of changed my life when I was much younger, when I was in high school, I know there's a bit of a cliche to this, but I really enjoyed Jack Kerouac's book Dharma Bums. It's a story of some guys who weren't really in tune with the mainstream culture of the 50s, the cookie cutter boxes on a hill suburban lifestyle, and they kind of escaped to the mountains of Northern California and just sort of took the time to get in touch with themselves as people and really appreciate the spirituality that comes from being in nature. And at the time I was living in upstate New York, where I grew up, just a couple hours north of New York City, and had never been out west and was just sort of constantly sort of daydreaming what it might be like to hike a mountain in, pajamas in California, the way these guys were doing. But they had this very free, very sort of bohemian lifestyle that wasn't necessarily a debaucherous lifestyle. It was one kind of more focused on peace and tranquility and sort of finding, one's place in the world. So
nice. I love that. So Jack Kerouac, what was the title again?
Dharma Bums.
Dharma Bums, Jack Kerouac. Excellent. That's sitting there next to you. And next to the book is a drink. It's 6 p.m., June, sunny, warm. What would your beverage of choice be in those circumstances?
Probably a non-alcoholic kombucha or some ginger beer. I stopped drinking about 3 years ago, so evening drinks do not usually include alcohol for me. Every once in a while, I'm a fan of maybe like an afternoon coffee or something, but I actually stopped drinking caffeine a couple years ago too. So I'd go with decaf Americano is usually my go-to at a coffee shop. So probably one of one of those 2 or 3 options.
Okay, which is why you're looking so healthy and well. Okay, excellent. So you're feeling quite pleased with yourself, okay, because you've come from a meeting in the Rockefeller Center with a wealthy New York family foundation who like to support research into the arts and entertainment world. They got wind of you. They've been referred to you as somebody who knows his stuff when it comes to entertainment IP and legal issues, and they'd like you to travel to another country to study and do some research into law in entertainment in different areas of the world to inform policy in the US. It's very well paid. It's first class all the way. All your personal admin is sorted. You've been granted a sabbatical from the firm. Family and friends can come out and visit wherever you end up. And all you need to do is to decide which country you'd like to do that work in.
Okay. My first instinct is Brazil, because as a musician, I've just always really, really loved the music that comes from that region of the country, sort of, or the region of the world between basically where New Orleans is and Brazil, the Central America, South America, all the Caribbean influences and the way that that all mixes together. And I think Brazil is a place where a lot of those things either originated or sort of had a place to kind of build momentum. So from a cultural standpoint, also being a musician, that's an area that I think I would be really, really interested in.
Excellent.
I don't know enough about the way they approach law and policy there to know if that is a country that I would want to study from that perspective. There might be some European countries where I'd want to look a little bit more at the policy side of things, but I think in terms of culture and the way that it flourishes and the way there's all these diverse communities working together, Brazil has always been really fascinating to me. And I think there are things we can definitely learn from them.
Okay, so I think we're going to send you to Rio.
Okay.
And we're going to give you a kind of coda to your research in that it's really a two-pronged research study. The legal elements of it, what we'll do is we'll have you meet and play with and speak to lots of musicians in Brazil to understand more about the problems they have in terms of their representation, legal issues, so that it might be that the US gets to support Brazil in supporting that. So yeah, so we'll be a little bit flexible on the reasons for the trip. But
Okay.
you are going to get a lecture tour out of this. You are going to do a TED talk. You're going to get a book deal as well. So that'll be fun. Right. So you're on the plane. You turned left on the plane. The steward brings you both a ginger beer and a decaffeinated Americano. And hands you a note from the family foundation, and they want to study you a little bit as well. So they want you to limit your musical intake to one very specific type of music for 12 months. If you had to do that, what genre would you choose?
In Brazil?
No,
it can totally be separate. Okay.
Yeah, I have a magic wand here, so we can create anything we like, any type of music, but it's got to be quite specific, something that you could bear to listen only to for 12 months. Some people do this by a system of elimination. What could you not live without musically?
I think I know my answer. I think if I had to just really dive deep and learn more about a new area of music, I would go with high life music from West Africa, from Ghana.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's good. So that's you've got high life for 12 months, with the exception of a few trips I'm going to take you on. Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. So you get to Rio de Janeiro. There's a group of young people who are both law students and musicians and practicing musicians, and they take you under their wing, and they take you into the center of Rio, where you've got a beautiful rooftop apartment overlooked by the Christ the Redeemer in Rio there. And they say, right, unpack, relax. We're going to come back and take you out to a dance show. And then we're taking you out to dinner. Now, you can stay local with your culture if you wish, but you don't have to, because I have a magic wand and I can put anything on that stage. Okay.
Okay.
So for the dance performance, you can have any dancer, living or not, any dance group, any dance style. What would you like to watch for a couple of hours?
Well, if I'm in Brazil, I know you have magic wand, but I think I need to take in some of the samba.
Yeah, I think we might put you there at that festival. It's carnival as well.
Carnival. Yeah,
So,
that would be great. That would be
excellent.
I lived in New Orleans for a while, so I know the Mardi Gras traditions, and Brazil is on another level when it comes to that. So that's something I want to see in my lifetime sometime.
Brilliant. So the next day in Rio is sport day. Okay, and many people consider some sports to be performance art. We've just had breakdancing in the Olympics. So what sport would you like to either participate in or watch for a couple of hours?
I mean, in Brazil, is there any other sport besides soccer?
You don't have to stay local, but yeah, that might be a good shout. None of those huge big stadiums.
No, but in all seriousness, I will say I am a big baseball fan. I've played baseball since I was a kid, and I have come to really appreciate just how international baseball has become. I watched the World Baseball Classic back in 2023 and was really inspired to see a team from the Czech Republic was in there, and lots of sort of very small countries in the Caribbean that you don't expect necessarily, but players from Curacao were playing for Team Netherlands, things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I also I spent a little bit of time when I was in college in Dublin, Ireland, and for the first time in my life was exposed to Irish rules football, which is very different from soccer, and hurling. And I was just fascinated by both of those sports. So I'm sure that neither of those sports is played in Brazil very often, if at all, but it might be fun to go back to.
Well, because I have a magic wand, it just so happens that a team from Dublin are doing an exhibition tour of hurling and Gaelic football, and they're stopping off at Rio. So there we go. Excellent. Now, on the next day in Rio, there is a new art gallery in my magical world, which uses VR technology to allow people to step into the paintings of famous artists. Whose work would you like to explore in a kind of 3D virtual reality environment?
Probably Monet or Cézanne. Every time I go to an art museum, especially when I'm, really any section of an art museum that involves paintings, I like to really step up close to the work and look at the detail and look at the brush strokes. And it's just always so fascinating to me because I'm not much of a visual artist at all. Drawing makes sense to me, but the way that painters choose to just add a little dab of one color right there, and up close, it doesn't look like anything other than this, just almost seemingly random selection of where the paint has been applied. But then when you step back, you're like, oh, that was the reflection off of the side of somebody's arm, the way the light was hitting it. And it's just like, wow, that is really incredible. So I like to step up close and look at that texture. And I really love the way the Impressionists were very generous with their application of paint. And so when you talk about being able to step inside a painting, I want to get even closer. I want to see that texture and sort of live in that surreal space.
Excellent. You can do that with both Monet and Cézanne. It's great. Yeah, I consider great art to be something I could never do, however long you gave me. So, and that's me. Excellent. Right, I've flown out to spend the week with you. Okay. So we're going to go out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On Monday, we're going to a pop or rock show. We're going to a theatre play on Tuesday. We're going to a West End or Broadway musical on Wednesday. We're going to the opera on Thursday, and then we're going to the movies on Friday. And between us, we can decide what we're going to see.
Okay.
So pop and rock. I'd like you to think of somebody you could have seen but never did.
Prince.
I did.
I'm jealous.
I saw the Love Sexy tour in the round at Wembley.
Oh my gosh.
One of the funkiest things I've ever heard in my life is when he appeared on the on one of your chat shows. I can't remember who, Jay Leno, I think. If you Google Prince Jay Leno with Sheila E., it's just one of the funkiest things I've ever heard in my life. It's just
sure.
fantastic.
I'll definitely look that up after.
Yeah, have a look. Yeah, you get to. We'll go and see Prince. Okay, that's good.
Prince in Rio sounds amazing.
Prince in Rio, and we get to go to the gig he does after his big stadium.
Oh yeah, there's always an after show when it comes to
yeah, incredible. What about a theatre play we could go and see? You can always pass it back to me if you wish.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if I have a particular play in mind.
I think we'll probably go, and I think we should probably have a bit of Shakespeare.
Okay.
And try
Very
and get
fitting for you. Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, try and get to grips with the accent and the old English. So let's go and see. Yeah, let's do Romeo and Juliet. That would be the great. Yeah. Then we'll go and see West, and then we'll go the musical we're going to see. I've decided we'll do. So the play will be Romeo and Juliet, and then the musical will be West Side Story. There we go.
Okay, I thought you were going to let me choose the musical. I know musicals a little bit better than non.
Right, go for it. What are you taking me to see then?
I think I'd like to see Wicked. I've never seen it. I read the book when I was in high school, so I feel like I know the story pretty well, but I've just never actually completed the loop of going to see the show.
Right.
Second on the list would be Hamilton. I've seen the movie now, so I feel like I've seen the show, but it would be cool to get to see that in person.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. We'll do a double header. Are you an opera buff?
Not at all, but if we're going to see the opera in Rio, I want to hear a Portuguese opera. I don't know what that would be, but I want to hear opera sung in Portuguese.
Yeah, I don't know one offhand, but yeah, we'll find an opera. We could do Tosca, Puccini's Tosca in Portuguese. There we go. That would be good. And what about a film?
Any film?
Any film.
Anytime?
Big screen, best seat in the house, IMAX.
Oh, so many choices, so many things to choose from.
There are some people who have films that if they start watching, they can't stop. I've got Shawshank and what's the other? Schindler's List. I can't start watching Schindler's List and stop before it's finished, strangely. What would be your go-to movie for a big screen?
Well, one of my favorite movies of all time is the Coen Brothers' The Big Lebowski, but I don't know if that's the most fitting for a large screen necessarily. Man, there's so many choices. I can't even choose.
Okay. Right. So next day, we're nearly there, by the way. Next day is Hero Day. This has a twist to it. I've booked a 3-star Michelin 3-star restaurant for you in Rio for a leisurely 2-hour lunch. And you can invite anyone to join you, living or not, famous or not, and they will come. Who would you like to have lunch with?
Prince is pretty high on this list, but I had the opportunity to meet the bass player Victor Wooten back in January, and we only had a few minutes to talk. So I would love to sit down and actually have a lengthy conversation with him, especially after just finishing reading his second book. I feel like I know him a little bit better now. We also share a birthday, and he's been one of my sort of bass heroes since I was a kid. So
oh yeah, amazing. There's a fantastic video of him, isn't there, doing that overlaying. Isn't she lovely? I'm not sure.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a great version of that, great version of Amazing Grace. And then, his original stuff with his own project, but also with Bella Fleck and the Flecktones, just really incredible.
Yeah, fantastic. Excellent. Victor Wooten it is. Now,
that'd be great.
In Rio. Now, the twist is, who do you think Victor would want there?
I think Victor would want his dad there. I just finished reading his book, and I think that he would want his dad there. That's my guess.
Nice. That's the twist. I thought you might have gone for Jaco Pastorius or someone like that. So
yeah, that's probably pretty high on his list too. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Jaco was high on his list. I would love that too. Jaco is a great bass player. I'm not actually sure how much I would enjoy having a conversation with Jaco though. Everything I've heard is that he was not always a nice guy.
And then is it Nathan East who's a top?
Oh yeah,
Nathan East.
I didn't get a chance to meet him, but he was also at the NAMM show back in January, and I saw him speak on a panel, and he seems like an incredibly nice guy, so humble, and yet has, thousands of credits and has played with everybody on every style of music.
And there is a young Indian girl bass player who's just amazing. I've
seen the video. I think I know what you're talking about. I don't recall her name.
Mohini Day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She is incredible. And also, there's also a South African bass player who played with Jeff Beck at Ronnie Scott's. She's incredible as well. I'll try and dig that out.
Oh, Tal Wilkenfeld.
Yeah, Tal. I mean, there's one show that they do at a stadium where she does a bass solo, and he just is blown away, and he's just going,
Right.
And it's the most
music impressed.
Oh yeah, and who's the drummer? Is it Rick Liotta or Iota? Can't remember.
Vinny Colaiuta.
Yeah, so he's on, Jeff Beck, a keyboard player, and
great band,
and Tal, and the bass solo is just ridiculous. Not many people have favorite notes, but one of my favorite notes ever is in that bass solo.
Nice.
It's
Victor would really appreciate that sentiment.
Yeah, you played my favorite ever note. Brilliant, excellent. Okay, so we're done. I'm flying home. You're going to go and travel around Brazil, meeting and playing with musicians, recording for the TV show, writing the book, getting ready for your lecture tour and the TED Talk that you'll come back to. So you're on the way home now after that year, after your magical fantasy cultural year in Brazil, and the restrictions to the music that you can listen to have been lifted. So it's no longer just high life. Apart from high life, what's the first piece of music that you would want to listen to that you hadn't heard for 12 months?
Probably the album that I always go back to every couple of days or every couple of weeks, depending on how long it's been since the last time I listened to it, which is the album Voodoo by D'Angelo. Definitely one of my favorite albums of all time.
Voodoo by?
D'Angelo.
Nice. The 70s was a great, I don't know if that was 70s, but the 70s was
Voodoo was 99, 2000, something like that.
Yeah, the 70s is often cited as the album decade.
Right.
You've got Rumors, you've got Dark Side of the Moon, you've got
Led Zeppelin 2. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, incredible. Excellent. So there you are. You're home after your fantasy cultural trip. I hope you enjoyed that, Max.
I did. That sounds like a great year.
Some people have said to me, why don't you set up a travel agency, Mark, so that we can actually do this? It would be great.
I know. It sounds pretty great.
Another quick question. What if you were asked to, the reason I'm asking this is that one of our full members, Sammy Tauber, whose alter ego is Vinci, she's a multi-talented, futuristic musician and producer. One of her pieces of music has been chosen to be left on the moon. So what piece of music what single piece of music would you put on that spaceship to be left on the moon for somebody to find?
I'm going to go back to Prince. I have to go back to Prince. The question is which song? So many great Prince songs to choose from, but I think Prince's I Feel For You. Let's put that on the moon.
Nice. Love that. Excellent. Well, there's your fantasy cultural year. If you don't mind, I'm going to play the this or that game with you as well.
Okay, yeah.
We're nearly out of time, but this will be fast paced. I'm going to give you two options. You have to choose one. Okay. Still or sparkling?
Sparkling.
Mac or PC?
Mac.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Radio or TV?
Radio.
Peas or Brussels sprouts?
Brussels sprouts.
Call them or text them?
Call.
Window or aisle?
Aisle. Always.
Milk or dark?
Dark. Are we talking about coffee?
Chocolate.
Oh, yeah. Dark.
Yeah. Car or motorcycle?
Motorcycle. I've never ridden one, but I love riding bikes. So if I had to choose,
a huge Harley. I had a huge Harley for a while during my midlife crisis. Boiled or fried egg?
Fried.
Comedy or horror?
Comedy.
Concert hall or sports stadium?
Concert hall.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Test the water or dive in at the deep end?
Dive in.
Excellent. Orange juice, bits or no bits?
Bits, which we call pulp in the US.
Oh, yeah, I ought to change that on here. An hour in an art gallery or an hour in a museum?
Museum.
Beethoven or Mozart?
Mozart.
Shower or bath?
Bath.
Cooking or being cooked for?
Cooking.
Fiction or non-fiction?
Fiction.
Sand or snow?
Snow.
Shopping online or in store?
Online, definitely.
Reggae or salsa?
Ooh. Probably salsa.
Indoors or out?
What's that?
Indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
Android or iPhone?
iPhone. I've had both. iPhone is better. Sorry.
Start immediately or wait until the last minute?
Start immediately, but that doesn't always end up actually happening.
Yeah. Science or history?
History. I like science a lot. History.
New York or Los Angeles?
Oh man, that's a tough one. If I had to choose, probably has to be New York, but I do love LA.
Mm-hmm. Early riser or night owl?
Both.
Yeah, you're a lawyer.
I've always kind of been both. I don't usually need a lot of sleep, so I do find myself usually staying up late. But again, if I had to choose one, early riser.
Right. Messy desk or tidy desk?
The goal is the tidy desk. It doesn't always stay that way.
Toilet paper, over or under?
Always over. Always.
The patent, actually, this is really good for you. In the local bar here, they've got a picture of the patent for that toilet roll, and it goes over.
Okay, right. I think I've seen that, but yeah, that's proof right there.
But if you've got cats or young children, it's safer if it's under.
True.
Yeah, because they can't. They'll be winding it. Bedroom door, open or closed?
Open.
Red or white wine?
Depends on where I am. If I'm at my parents' house, it's always closed. If I'm just here at my own home, it's open.
Red or white wine, if you were to choose?
Probably red. Yeah, I definitely favored red when I used to drink.
Numbers or words?
Words.
Silver or gold?
Silver.
And finally, see the future or change the past?
Change the past. I just watched Back to the Future 2 days ago, so.
Excellent. Max, thank you so much for doing this. I've taken more of your time than I intended to, but this has been a delight. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
I hope you've enjoyed your fantasy cultural year, and this, wherever this appears, there'll be lots of links to you and the work you do. So don't rush off, but for the time being, thanks again for being one of our full members. It makes a huge difference. And thank you for being such a valued member of our community.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to get to one of the networking events yesterday, but things got busy. But I definitely look forward to jumping on my first Zoom call with and meeting some other people in the network soon.
Yeah, they'll be delighted to meet you, as I have been. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for doing this.